Hey, what's up, and welcome back to the Bad Pipes podcast. I went back to the old intro.
Nice.
I don't know if I'll ever have an intro that I feel comfortable with. What if we did what other people do? We just had like a song that played for way too long, like a 45-minute sound clip of a song that we played first.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Or we go the other route and we have someone like edit a like a radio show, like bad pipes, glass crashing in the background. Oh, bad pipes, and we're like, hey guys, welcome back to Bad Pipes.
I like it. We should do that.
Yeah. I'll talk to all my audio editor friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're on the Patreon, which you're probably not, you'd see that we were talking about Shin Masked Rider this week, so that's pretty exciting, because I think this is our second foreign film we've done on the podcast here.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. I think the only other one was, 1940... What was that one? 1944?
I think it was 1944, because it's like the end of the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this would be our second one, Shin Kamen Rider or Shin Masked Rider, by Hideaki Anno.
Yeah. So anyone who's not familiar with him, a bit of background on him. He's the Evangelion guy.
Yeah, and Shin
if
Godzilla.
that means something to you, then it'll probably mean something within the context of this movie. If him being the Evangelion guy means nothing to you, because you've never seen Evangelion, I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah. This movie was a wild ride.
Is that a fucking pun? Are you starting the review off with a pun?
I didn't intend to, but honestly, I'm gonna ride with it. That's fucking.
So a little bit more background, real quick, just on these like Shin series of movies. Hideaki Anno is the guy that has done all three of them, because there's actually three. So there's Shin Godzilla, Shin Devilman, and Shin Kamen Rider now. Or Shin Masked Rider for the English audience.
Yeah.
These are basically his takes on these franchises. Shin Godzilla, when it came out, I remember people going crazy for it. They were like, dude, this is like the best Godzilla movie there's ever been. And I never saw it. So
I have also not seen it.
yeah. But whenever I heard that he did Godzilla, Devilman, and this, I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting, because Devilman Crybaby, that anime that came out on Netflix years ago, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I watched that. That's fucking anime.
It's an anime. This though, I'm not super familiar with Kamen Masked Rider.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not either.
So in my head, he's that character from One Punch Man that just rides around on the bike all the time and like doesn't win any fights. And I think that's kind of what I was assuming. Not going into this, that's kind of what I was assuming. In my head, I wasn't like, yeah, this guy's probably like a badass that had like his own show. Because in my mind, I was like stuck on that parody version of him from One Punch Man.
Yeah.
So when this movie opens up with like Sam Raimi blood splatters in a forest, I was like, oh, I'm in for something totally different from what I thought I was getting.
Yeah. No, at the very beginning, watching it, I was like, oh, this. It was giving like a gory Power Rangers almost.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like a hyper violent Power Rangers.
Yeah. which I absolutely loved from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Just very interesting, unique concept they have going on.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, we can look it up, but I'm pretty sure the, like, Kamen Rider stuff was coming out in, like, the 80s, and it does have that sort of, like, 80s anime feel, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, let's see.
An armored hero who has a cool transforming motorcycle, and he fights other armored villains that are also, like, half insect or animal.
Yeah. Yeah, so originally aired in 1988 in Japan, making it over to the United States in the mid 90s, which I don't ever recall. I may have watched this at some point, but I don't ever recall watching it on. Apparently, it was on Fox Kids.
Is this an anime?
No, nope. It was a live. It looks like, yeah, it was just like a live, basically like Power
Whenever
Rangers.
I pull up Kamen Rider, there's actually a 1971 TV series.
Oh, maybe it's that one.
I mean, it's probably like the same.
Oh, okay. So
franchise or whatever.
it looks like. So I looked up Masked Rider, not Kamen Rider. So
Yeah.
Masked Rider talks about how the one that aired in the United States specifically is the one from 1988. That is Kamen Rider Black RX.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it started in the 70s, continued on through who even knows 80s, 90s in Japan, and this one specifically, they kind of did the same thing they did with Power Rangers, where they, dubbed it over and brought it in for a kids show.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a huge Power Rangers fan as a kid.
Yeah, I was too, for sure.
I watched a bunch of Power Rangers.
I remember.
So.
I have this one goofy memory. It's like one of the few memories I have from like preschool of this kid I knew who was like one of my friends being like, kids just say stupid shit and you look back on it and you're like, he was ahead of his time. This kid was like, man, I just want to suck on the pink Power Rangers boobies. And I think back because I'm like, how old could that kid have been? Like, 4 years old maybe, because it's preschool.
And you're just like, damn, he was onto something.
Just shit knew what he was up to.
Oh man.
But yeah, I remember loving Power Rangers as a kid, watching all the movies and whatnot as they were coming out.
But yeah, no, this was interesting because I mean, this is all you have like a dystopian like corporation basically creating human. I guess animal, because there were some. A lot of them are insects, but you do have like the bat.
Just human insect hybrids, and then they were like, and then here's a bat, and here's a chameleon and a mantis. And you're like, this is getting wild.
Yeah.
And then Homeboy is just like a butterfly, right?
Yeah. The one who can, like, I guess, send people's souls into some...
the fucking cyber realm.
Yeah.
So, that's... I don't know how much of that comes from Kamen Rider. Because those are, like, very much Hideaki Anno type ideas. The, like...
Mm-hmm.
That's the same shit that he's talking about in Evangelion, is like human beings' ability to lie to each other is what gives us happiness, because we're able to hide like the imperfections of life from each other. And in a realm of complete and absolute truth, that would be hell.
Yeah.
Which is probably true, because all the Pink Rangers of the world would know how much we all want to suck their boobies. And we won't have the naivety or innocence of childhood to protect us.
Yeah.
I'm on a fucking rip.
Jeez.
All right, where are we? Yeah, let's talk about this movie. So the basic plot is basically like a fight anime plot where the hero is thrust into unexpected circumstances. He's been transformed into a half grasshopper man.
Well, and basically when they do these, the corporation essentially brainwashes them to serve them, whereas it would seem he was rescued, released before he was brainwashed, and so he has his individuality.
Yes. And then from there, it just becomes kind of like a march up the ladder. He kills Spider-Man.
He does indeed kill Spider-Man, who just dissolves into some web.
Yeah, they all dissolve into bubbles.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I was like, why bubbles? I don't know. There's got to be like a Japanese reason for that. Like, bubbles are what your soul looks like when it exists in heaven or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could probably Google it. I don't want to. So yeah.
Yeah.
Then we see him like introduce to other people. There's the two government agencies that are working against the super corporation. Shocker.
Shocker.
They go through and they defeat more people. He's got his little sidekick who is the daughter of the scientist that turned him into a grasshopper man. And
Ruriko, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, and I would say that she is not a love interest, which is very Japanese. Them being like, here's the guy and a girl working together, and they are not love interests, okay?
Yeah.
They just trust each other intimately, okay?
Yeah.
No kissing.
No kissing.
That's unbecoming of a young person.
Strictly platonic.
Yep. And then they do the classic Japanese trope of before you go fight the big bad guy, you have to fight the evil version of yourself.
Yeah, Kamen Rider 2.
So Kamen Rider 2 is a guy who used to be a investigative journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe you should. The main character's name is Hongo.
Hongo. Yes.
So then he meets Kamen Rider 2, and his name is
Ichimonji.
Ichimunji. And they beat each other up, and Ichimunji breaks Hongo's leg. And that was... Honestly, there's a lot of these scenes in here that are pretty graphic, because like you don't see him actually break the leg, but then he's like crawling away with his leg on backwards, and you're like, God damn.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
But scientist sidekick girl is able to break the brainwashing on Kamen Rider 2. And this was a moment in the movie where I was like, oh, that'd be truly fucking horrible. Because apparently the way the brainwashing works is they cover every single bad memory you have with a feeling of euphoria. So whenever the brainwashing breaks, you experience every bad memory you've ever had in your life at once.
Yeah.
And I was like, just thinking about that, I was like, that would fuck me up.
Yeah. Pretty terrible.
I think I teared up a little bit at that point. I was watching this at like 2 a.m, so.
Yeah.
Then she gets taken out of the plot.
She does. She gets murdered by who was it?
Chameleon mantis guy.
Yeah, I think his name's Ichiro.
No clue.
Yeah.
So I would say most of the fights are pretty fucking good because it's just like old school fight choreography. They're like punching each other, kicking each other, and
oh yeah,
every once in a while they do this like kind of goofy thing of like a hyper CGI fight.
Oh yeah, like when
in the tunnel when they're fighting all of the evil Kamen Riders.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, just like it, I loved it when he's fighting Kamen Rider 2 and they're like flying through the air.
Yeah, and the whole time they're like fucking monologuing, and Kamen Rider 2 is like, yes, fight me in the air so that you're at max power because you're fully in the wind. Oh yeah, the wind charges his fucking energy belt, which keeps him strong, I guess. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, because they talk about like prana, or like the life energy that like they're like his like suit, his like belt and whatever like harnesses it, and like that's what gives him his strength.
Yeah, and whenever the evil guys kill someone, they like harvest their prana, like they consume their soul. Basically, is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
kind of dark.
Yeah. I'm just like, this whole thing, like, he came up with so many interesting concepts to, like, tie into this. It's just wild.
Yeah. But yeah, eventually, Hongo and Ichimonji, they team up and they beat up the big bad guy. And the day is saved.
They do. But our hero dies.
Hongo gives up his life in the attempt, and Ichimonji,
he becomes Kamen Rider 2+1.
1-2. Right?
Something like that.
He's
wearing the helmet, but Hongo's soul is in the helmet.
Yeah, Hongo's soul is in the helmet. And it talks to him as he takes a motorcycle ride into the sunset.
Yeah. I mean, that scene, Fast and the Furious wishes they could do that scene. Paul Walker's soul is in the car that Dom drives off into the sunset.
I mean, it's so like it's a very cliche story, but it manages to like hit all of these notes that like make you feel things.
Oh yeah.
Like at the end there, that idea of like we carry the ones we've lost with us, like their souls become part of us.
Mm-hmm.
And like ideally the goodness in them drives us to enact greater goodness in the world. I feel like that's a very touching note to end the movie on.
Yeah.
And it's also not the end. There's like more branches of Shocker that need to be taken down. So
yeah.
Shin Masked Rider 2.
I'm all for it.
I don't think they would. I think this is just like a good ending spot because like how do you have a more meaningful theme than what's in this? You can't really.
Yeah.
If they did a sequel to this, it would just be like a parody of the first one, basically.
Yeah.
Or they do maybe like a Power Rangers route and they'd have like 5 Masked Riders and they all come together at the end to beat up a gorilla human hybrid. Squint.
Yeah. The sequel is just all mammals.
Yeah. Or they go the Baki route and it's all fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah. That'd be pretty great.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, man. That'd be wild.
I still need to watch Baki.
Oh, so good.
Should we just do Baki for our next episode?
I'd be down. That's like 40 or somewhere between like 40 and 60 episodes of anime you'd have to watch.
Honestly, if you want, we could do that. Maybe not for next week, but we could do that in the break when I come back down there to Florida.
True.
Gives me time to watch it when I'm on break for 9 days.
True.
And we can cover it all.
Yep.
Also gives me incentive to just hurry up and watch it.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. But yeah, so Shin Masked Rider, what do you give this?
I like it, but I know a lot of people wouldn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like, this is cheesy and campy, and a lot of people don't like that. So I think, like, realistically, this is probably like a 7 out of 10, but for me, it was probably like a solid 8.
Yeah, I would say for me it's an 8. I did quite enjoy it.
What are our reviews on this? IMDb gives it a 6.1 out of 10. 87% of Google users.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it an 89 and audience gave it an 85.
Interesting.
So yeah, people did generally enjoy it. I have entered it into our list. Keeping a running tab here. You were able to access the list, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw like where I basically added a note into each one.
Yeah.
With our exact scores.
Yeah, I saw.
Since it only does out of 5, which doesn't really translate for everything.
10-point score.
Yeah, especially because there's some of them where we were like, yeah, 7.7, 5.69. There's some of them. I don't know if I saw like I added notes and it was like Army of Darkness when we reviewed it. Matt was like giving it like an 8.23. You gave him shit. And he goes, fine, 8.32. And so I put like in parentheses like 8.32 under duress. It was like Johnny Mnemonic. You were like, yeah, I think I'd have to give this a 6 out of 10, but honestly, it's like an 8 out of 10 in my heart. So I literally put 6 out of 10 for you. Then I put in parentheses 8 in his heart.
The only thing I can't really find for this is the budget.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So I have the box office here, but
yeah, it grossed 16.02 million, but that's like Japanese numbers because it only came out theatrically in Japan.
Yeah. Thought. Yeah, I don't see anything about the budget.
I don't either.
Oh well.
Sorry, I fucked up. I said Shin Devilman. It's Shin Ultraman.
Shin Ultraman.
Yeah. So ignore all that talk about how much I like the Devilman anime.
Honestly, Devilman is great. You should watch it anyways.
Yeah, you should watch it. All right. The only thing I kind of wanted to mention was that Chris Gore of Film Threat, I would say a very good film review site.
Mm-hmm.
He put together and released this past year a movie called Attack of the Dock. The epic story behind G4 TV and Attack of the Show. So anyone my age, Scott's age, maybe a little bit younger than us, maybe a little bit older than us, you're probably familiar with G4 if you're into video gaming or, I don't know, or just like a guy on the internet at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this is just a documentary of those two things, and how it was a very, like, almost like startup-minded thing. No one really knew what they were doing, and they just did things to the best of their abilities. And we got this show that, like, kind of shaped, like, gaming culture for years to come. And I would say probably in some ways led to the success of like YouTube, as far as like gaming channels and things like that. Which is kind of ironic because after G4 tried to come back on YouTube, they'd like completely changed their formula basically, and they failed within a year and fell apart. But it was also like only a select few people who came back for the return of the G4 stuff. And if you're a person on the internet and you're on that side of YouTube, you know exactly why they failed. They were totally out of touch with their audience, and
when they tried to make that return, it was not great.
Bad. Yeah.
I remember G4. I love G4 for like they just had. I mean, they were so ahead of their time. Like they should have come back and done like what they used to do, where they would host like the like LAN tournaments. They'd literally have like you could watch people play LAN tournaments for like original Halo 2.
Yeah, that was. I think the name of that show was like Arena.
Yeah, it was like Arena.
It was like
something.
A multiplayer thing where people would, do that shit. But like Attack of the Show was fucking awesome, and it was so funny. And you had like Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn, who they had like such good chemistry, and they talk about this in the documentary. But like Olivia Munn is a stunningly beautiful woman who is incredibly funny.
Yeah.
And like then you couple that with like Kevin Pereira, who was this like tiny little guy. But also very funny, and like the two of them together had like such good I would call it almost like improv. Like one of them would bit and the other one would play off the bit, and they created running gags for the show that were like, I don't know, it gets you to like commit to it, and it gets you to like buy in because it's fun. And it was like you were hanging out with your friends before like hanging out with your fucking friends on Discord or whatever, where you're like playing games with them.
I mean, G4 was also, they were the original like ones to air like Ninja Warrior back in the day. Like that was where you would watch like the like
yeah. So Ninja Warrior was on there. But then they also got kind of like shafted by I think they were part of NBC Universal when they first started, and they had like cops playing on G4, and they had like cheaters on G4.
They would randomly just have those playing on there,
yeah. And they talk about this in the documentary. They're like, why are we fucking like producers at G4 were like, why do we have these shows on our channel? Like, this is not our audience.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the upper management or whatever at like NBC Universal being like, oh, we have these shows and we need to just dump them somewhere. And they're kind of like, Cops is like a guy show, I guess. So we'll put it on G4 because that's like a primarily guy channel.
They would have been so much better off because, I mean, I feel like this was around the same time that, like, Cartoon Network got rid of Toonami and shit. Like, you would have been so much better off instead of playing Cops, like, cheaters and everything, picking up, like, anime. That would have gone hand in hand. Like, you played game shows and, do stuff with gaming, but like, anime would have even been better than... Cause I would say I remember, like, anytime G4 was playing Cops or cheaters or any of that random, just garbage television, I just wouldn't watch. I'd just change the channel.
Yeah. I mean, you'd see that it was on for like 4 hours straight, and you were like, why?
You're like, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. Like, Ninja Warrior was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Attack of the Show was good. Ninja Warrior, Arena. I mean...
Yeah,
I mean, G4
they had
was...
legitimately good coverage of stuff. So, like, they were the first people to go to E4, and their coverage of E4 was so successful that in the next years at E4, they had an entire 2-story stage built for them, and they did stuff there. And the first year they did that 2-story stage, what's his name?
Was it E4 or E3? E3.
E3. What was I saying? E4?
E4.
G4. E3 on G4.
Yeah, Electronics Entertainment Expo, which I think this year was the year they announced. Cause I know they've taken breaks, but I think they officially announced this year it's never returning. It's just done now.
Yeah, I mean, culture has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because 2022 they canceled it. They were going to bring it back this year, then they were like, hey, no, like, they just didn't sell enough tickets. Lack of attendance and interest. I mean, basically, I think it really got hurt when, like, Sony, I think Nintendo was the first one to decide, like, hey, we're not...
People were like, they pulled out.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think Nintendo was pretty big on, like, hey, we're just going to do, like, virtual ones, like, we're not going to actually, like, come on stage. Sony followed with that, and it was like, at that point, you only have Microsoft, and...
Well, I think Nintendo saw that, like, the way that things were being reacted to was, like, getting progressively worse, and it's because all of these gaming companies were pushing more and more and more into live service games and mobile games and shit like that, because Tencent came in and bought substantial portions of them, and Tencent and these other random Chinese, and I think there's a Korean company, they just want to, like, gotchify every single game, and it's so fucking frustrating. Like, every game that comes out now has a season pass. Why does every single game need to have a single pass? You paid $40 to $50 to $70 sometimes for one of these games, and then to get the little cosmetics or the new guns or whatever that come out for that season, you have to pay an extra $10 to $20 depending on the game.
Yeah.
And that's every 3 or 4 months they expect you to spend another $10 to $20 on a game.
Yep. No, it is insanely irritating with how it's all kind of come around.
Yeah, and I think people saw the way that people were reacting to, like, Diablo, like the Diablo mobile stuff was like big memes. Well, you guys all have phones, don't you? And then getting booed on stage, like, people start going, oh, the culture's changing and people don't like it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is very understandable, because it used to be like you paid your fucking $60, $70 and you got a full game at release that, like, maybe needed a couple bug splats, and that's it. Nowadays, people put out half-baked games and expect that, like, in a year or two, they'll be the full release, basically.
Yeah.
Without having the decency to go on, like, Steam or something and put it into early access, right? So, like, Baldur's Gate 3, the reason it's so successful is because it spent 4 years in early access. And I played it when it first went into early access, and it was rough. But it was rough because it was, like, very, very early access. And the whole point of early access is to get those bugs out, right? And to explore mechanics and to get people's how they feel about mechanics or features or the user interface or things like that.
And what do you fucking know? When you do something like that, you end up winning Game of the Year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, not even close. I feel like they're like people were trying to say, like, Spider-Man 2. No, not even, I know, like, the Sony fanboys wanted that.
Dog shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just a reskin, rehashed version of the first one.
I mean, watching gameplay of that, I was like, this is stupid, man.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't changed anything.
No.
Like, this. Do you remember the Spider-Man game that came out on, like, PlayStation 2 back in the day?
Oh, dude, I remember, core memory of that is taking a road trip with my family across, like, into, like, to the Midwest. Like, we spent, like, a week on the road, just, like, traveling, doing a road trip. And I remember, like, my dad hooked it up so that our minivan could, like, power my PlayStation 2. And I remember playing that game on that entire trip.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to do that on trips up to Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Great
We'd
game.
do that, and we'd also have, like, the VHS player in there or the DVD player. And that movie we watched, 1941, we used to watch it on repeat on the way up to Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so Attack of the Dock, I highly recommend it. Even if you've never seen G4 or you've never seen Attack of the Show, I highly recommend it. There's some things that are like very indie and low budget about it. That's to be expected. Chris Gore himself is like a big proponent of indie movies. Film Threat is like as punk rock as film review gets. They have all different kinds of folk reviewing movies, and they also they're also part of that idea of thought that's like you shouldn't review a movie if it's not the variety of movie that you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So do you remember that movie that came out? It was like Bros, and it was about like it was like a gay romance romp kind of thing or something like that. It was like a comedy. Yeah, I mean, it got swept under the rug pretty quick because it wasn't good. But like, the Film Threats reviewer for that was a gay guy that was like, "This movie fucking sucks." But yeah, I think that Chris Gore has a pretty good head on his shoulders when it comes to movies. And Alan, the other guy with Film Threat, at least on YouTube, I think that he's also usually got half decent takes. He's the one that I think I've brought up before that's like Asian representation, because he's Asian, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh yeah, we've got all the people of the we've got all the people of the rainbow except the Asians.
Honestly.
Yeah. So yeah. Attack of the Dock. Highly recommend it. You can find it for free on YouTube. If you want to support it, I think it was only like $2 if you wanted to buy it. Like, it was super cheap. I might buy it just to like support them because I think that they are legit. Also, a lot of shots of Olivia Munn in that documentary. Woo! Get to see her in a skimpy little maid outfit jump into a pool of pudding.
Yeah,
it's a fun one.
I was like, they had who's the other girl they had on there? Candace something.
Candace dick fit in your mouth?
Damn it.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Candace Bailey.
Yeah, that's her.
She was the one who replaced Olivia Munn when Olivia Munn left, and then Sarah Jean Underwood also made a lot of appearances. Yeah, I remember one. I remember one bit that stuck in my head was Sarah Jean Underwood dressed as Padme from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Like washing cars.
Of course.
That's a bit that stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Olivia Munn in the Slave Leia bikini. Classic.
Yep. They knew their audience.
There was also a bit that Candace Bailey and Sarah Jean Underwood had where Candace Bailey would be like, "Yeah, guys, I'm definitely straight, like, for certain." And then she'd fucking turn to Sarah Jean Underwood and, like, motorboat her and be like, "Yeah, I'm straight."
Jeez.
And they talk about that, too, because, like, G4 was coming out back in, like, the... Oh, what do the British call it? It's, like, the aughties.
Thoughts, yeah.
The 2000s, so it was like you could do kind of like risque stuff. Yeah. A lot of jokes on there that you can't make today. There's a whole song about it in the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I guess I'm done sucking the dick of Attack of the Dock. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. We appreciate it, and we love you.
Yeah, we do.
If you want to support this podcast for some unhinged reason, you can do that at patreon.com/badpipespodcast. If you want to email us questions or comments, or if you want to write a letter complaining about how I messed up, I mixed up Devilman and Ultraman, you can do that at CryptidWorksOfficial@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on the Twitter/X, you can do that at, what is it, Bad Pipes Podcast?
Just Bad Pipes Pod.
At Bad Pipes Pod. If you
like the music, it's by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Give him a listen.
True. Actually, this song is kind of fun. Have we heard this before?
I don't know if we have.
Playlist?
Yeah, I don't.
Agents of Chaos by Carl Casey. This is kind of fucking sick.
Nice little outro for us.
It's kind of fucking sick, dude. We're gonna have to play this first. Get hyped.
Yeah.
It's got like Doom vibes.
Yeah.
And if you love my dog barking, you can tell me about that at the email.
Her name is Ash, after Ash from The Evil Dead.
Yes. True facts for real. What else? Is that everything? Email,
yeah.
Twitter, Patreon, Twitter, email, Carl Casey.
Oh, buy our merch.
Yeah, buy our merch. Maybe we'll make shirts if Matt ever comes back to us.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Happy Sunday. Bye.